Hey, what's up, guys? So, I think the most important thing to being successful at anything is having the right mindset. But that said, I think that's a little bit too vague what mindset is, right? So, there's this one lie that I've really realized that I've told myself, and that I think most everyone tells themselves, and it really kills success. Because it's an easy lie to believe. It's a very obvious lie to believe, and yet it's completely untrue and destroys all chance that you have for being successful. Okay, so what is that lie exactly? That lie is that having success in a given area has to do with either sort of luck. There's not really a great word for it, or sort of a big break. So I think a lot of times when we see people that are successful, like monetarily, and we'll sort of think, oh, that person's got really the golden touch, that they, sort of have the golden touch. Everything that they do turns to gold financially, right? Or we'll look at someone that has a big break, on TV, like say like a Carrie Underwood, and we go, oh well, she just had that big break on American Idol, and we look at, or you know, let's look at something like a Bill Gates, oh well, he just had this big break, with coming along at just the right time when computers were really starting out and meeting the right person, all these different types of things. And though this is all true, and though everyone's sort of breaks that they get vary quite a lot, right? Like the that's the biggest, I think that's a lie, because it kills the one thing that sort of I've seen consistently leads to success in everything, which is actually consistency. So I want to tell you a couple stories about a couple of personal friends of mine, and both all like I'll tell you two because they're both YouTubers. What's up, Joshua? How are you, Philippines? So they're both YouTubers. One of them is Rick Beato, and the other one is Sam Mangubat. So Sam's a Filipino singer, YouTuber, and Rick is a guy who lives in Atlanta, and he's got one of now the most popular, music-related YouTube channels. So we could sort of look at both of those guys and say, well, yeah, they sort of just picked the right thing. So you could look at Rick, and what made his channel really take off was this video series that he did. I remember talking to him like right after he started it, and it's called What Makes This Song Great. And so that was the series that really took his channel into the stratosphere. He told me that's like when he started that series, just his channel just took off at a level that he could not believe, And then my friend Sam Mangubat, he's got almost 1 million subscribers on YouTube now and a bunch of hit songs in the Philippines. I've been friends with him now for like 10, 11 years or so. His career took off when he was on this TV show called Tawag ng Tanghalan, which is like the most popular Filipino singing competition, and especially at least that at that time it was. And he was the runner-up on that TV show, and definitely like the most popular contestant that year on that TV show. So you could look at both those guys and go, oh well, they just sort of got their big break. And you could look at a lot of things I think that I've done financially and go, oh well, he just sort of did the right thing. Like I bought a lot of real estate in Nashville about 4 or 5 years ago. And now real estate has already taken off quite a lot in Nashville, but the boom over the last 4 or 5 years has been even way bigger. And you could say, oh, well, look at David. Like a lot of my friends would say, oh, well, look at David. He just like happened to pick the right thing. But actually, I have lost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars with bad decisions that I've made where I totally did not pick the right thing. But that said, I've been investing my money since I was about 17 years old. I bought my first house when I was 17 years old, and I've bought every sort of thing and sold every sort of thing and tried it all since then. Bitcoin, stocks, gold, silver, houses, like private, like real estate funds, like called REITs, like all kinds of different things, And I've lost tons of money in many of them, but I've been consistent with trying. And so after a while, that consistency has led to me picking some things correctly, you know? And the correct picks, even though you get those bad picks, they outweigh the consistency of trying to do the right thing outweighs the sort of couple of missteps. And I remember Rick Beato called me right after he had posted a drum tuning tutorial on YouTube. And he was telling me, he was like, man, like, what's up with this? I thought this was such a useful video. This is a great video, and I'm getting hardly any views on it. Like, no one, like, it died, you know, this video. So yeah, like, you know, he obviously had missteps along the way. Obviously, it wasn't losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single transaction, but it was, you know, he definitely didn't make all of the right choices and all the right picks. He just consistently, man, Rick has literally uploaded a new video on YouTube every day for like the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years. It's been, he's insanely consistent, and that's worked. And then I could, you know, Sam Mangobat, though he was on Tawag Nang Tang Halan, he actually was probably even, like, he was equally as talented 8 years, you know, before Tawag Nang Tang Halan. So I always wondered when we worked together back, you know, 8, 10 years ago, I always wondered, like, why is this guy not super popular? Like, he's so talented. But he, you know, he worked with a lot of different people that were pretty big artists, but like his thing never really took off. But he just kept going at it. He kept going at YouTube. And what's actually kind of funny is that when Sam got runner-up on Tawag Nang Tang Halan, actually his voice was not as good then as it was like 5 years earlier when I met him. And Sam and I talked about it. We were like, man, because he burnt his voice out in the United Arab Emirates when he was working there. He like totally screwed up his voice, and it was not as good for a few years. Now Sam's voice is even better than ever. It's the best it's ever been. But when he was runner up on that show, his voice was actually not even nearly as good, in my opinion, as it was, like, you know, 3 or 4 years before that. So, but he just kept going consistently. He kept putting YouTube videos up for years without really much success, you know, with nothing taking off all of a sudden. And then, yeah, eventually it did. I mean, he literally spent, I don't know, like 8 to 10 years working before anything really took off at all. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is this idea of big breaks. That there will be these big breaks that happen at some point, but consistency in whatever you do is so much more important than that big break, because consistency leads to big breaks, and consistency is like what actually, it's like, how to explain this? It's the compounding. So like compounding interest, you know, in finance is one of the most powerful forces in finance, right? Compounding interest. It's what turns people into multimillionaires or billionaires, typically, is like the power of compounding interest. It's why they say the rich just get richer, right? Because once you gain so much, things just compound upon each other. So, and the earlier you start actually with compounding, there's a very classic story that it's supposedly by the inventor of chess, and the king loved this game chess that this guy had invented. So the inventor of chess said to the king, "Well, you like my game so much, so I would just..." and the king said, "Can I give you a gift?" And the inventor of chess said to him, "Well, I would just like 1 grain of rice, doubled for every square on my chessboard. So if you could just double it each time. So start off with 1, then go to 2, then 2, then 4, then 4, then 8, then 8, 16, 16, 32, like that." And he said that if you'll do that, just give me whatever that amount of grains of rice is. And the king's like, "Sure, absolutely, I'll do that." And so he granted his wish, and then his person who worked for the king came back to the king and said, "Well, actually, we don't have that much rice, and we won't have that much rice for centuries to come." So because the power of compounding like that is so powerful. And the thing is that consistency leads to compounding. It leads to compounding in our lives. So whether that's with love and with relationships that we build, or not necessarily like straight up love, romantic relationships, but I would say just sort of our network of relationships in our lives. And yeah, it's what leads to success in literally anything that you want to do. I had a guy come up to me the other day, and we were just chatting, and I'm like, what's your dream? What do you want to do? And he's like, well, I'd most love to be a professional drummer. I want to be a professional drummer. I was like, oh, you play the drums? He said, yeah, I play the drums. And I said, did you practice the drums today? He goes, no, not today. I said, did you practice the drums yesterday? He goes, no, not yesterday. I was like, did you practice the drums this week? He said, well, I haven't practiced the drums this week. And I said, I don't think you're going to be a professional drummer, because a professional drummer, if you're interested in making that your dream, you have to exercise the power of compounding and be practicing the drums every single day. And then he went into some excuses about why he didn't have a good place to play the drums. And it was actually kind of funny, because later that day I was on, I think it was like YouTube or Facebook, and I saw a video of this girl, this black girl, who didn't have a drum set and couldn't afford a drum set. And so she just got like pots and pans and pillows and all these things and a set of drumsticks, and played the drums on just these random items, and she would put the videos on TikTok. And she got so good at doing that then a famous drummer singer, Anderson .Paak, saw her doing that and went and bought her a drum set. And I sent him the video actually via text, and I was like, that girl is going to be a professional drummer. And that's because she's practicing every day, So anyway, this is my message for you guys. Hopefully it's helpful. I'm not seeing any Ask Me Anything questions, so I'm going to just journey and destination saying absolutely agree. So thanks for watching, man. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to head out and go consistently practice some things. So I'm working on a ton of music every single day, and I think starting next month, I'm going to be releasing a new song every month, brand new song every month, for hopefully many years to come. So that's where we're at currently, and I'll talk to you soon. See you guys.